the bottom line of me doing all these social media things is because I have had fantastic father and gurus in my life. And then they taught me for free. Okay. And then they never questioned. If I asked them one question, they always gave me 100 answers. So when they gave me so much knowledge without charging me or asking anything in return, I have no rights to keep whatever I have inside me just for myself. This is meant to be propagated. This is meant to be spread, right? So that is the only reason that I am doing these things. And this is also my sincere request to every possible knowledgeable musician that they should just enjoy spreading what they know, not just keep it to themselves. Then there is the more you keep things to yourself, it's just like materialistic properties, then the more outbreak of war is there. If you start sharing everything that you have from between one another, there is no war. There is always peace. So that is the reason I'm doing this. I also expect all the talented people out there to share what they have freely. That's the only request I have.
Hello and welcome. My name is Asaf, and I'm here with the one and only, the man who doesn't need an introduction, who I'm introducing, whose name is Manjunath BC. And Manjunath, thank you so much for having. I know that you're a very busy man, even at these times. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to do that. And then, yeah, uh, you said like even at this time I'm busy. It's not about like I am busy. I'm trying to keep myself busy. It's two different things. Being busy or trying to keep yourself busy are like two things apart. So, like during these times, the most important thing for not only for me, for everyone, is to see the positive side of it. No,
Of course,
the
yeah.
isolation where you get like so much time for yourself to practice, including for the family time, all these things. So I'm trying to keep myself busy. And
Yes.
of course, like uh, I don't know how many people would watch this, but of course there is always my master always told me that there is always a bigger tree than what you have seen. So that means like of course there might be 0.1% who know me, but there are still 99.9% people who don't know me. So I need an interaction. So my name is DC Manjunath. I'm from South India. I live in a city called Bangalore, where there are only 11 million people, not so many. And then uh, I speak a language called Kannada. Kannada is the language from my region, which is Karnataka, which is in South India. And then I play an instrument which is known as mridangam. That's the main thing that I do. Konokol is something that I use to communicate with other people, but that's not my main profession. But it's a very good language to communicate to other musicians to make even a layperson understand the rhythm. So it's a very beautiful language. That's what I do. I do mridangam and I also recite Konokol. And then this is a small introduction about me.
Yeah, cool. And could you speak a little bit about your beginning, how you started music? When did you start playing music? And maybe talk a little bit about your gurus, about your teachers, and how they helped you along the way?
Yeah. Well, I'm born into a family of musicians. So my father, he was a musician. My grandmother, she is a musician. She's 91 now.
Oh,
She
wow.
still sings. My great grandmother, she was a musician. My uncles are musicians. My cousins are musicians. My children are musicians. My nephew is a musician. My wife is a musician. So
So
like
you,
like
so you basically started before birth. That's what you're saying.
that's probably I brought mridangam in my hand when I came out of my mother. you know, it's not a great thing that I do music because if I didn't do music, then it would have been a news. So I had to do music because I'm probably the fourth or fifth generation of musicians. And then I used to hear my father playing mridangam all the time in the house, and then my grandmother always used to sing. And then one fine day, I was already doing a lot of konokol at that time, like just just beating around, not real thing. Whatever I heard, whatever I listened and heard, so the same thing. Then one fine day, my father thought, okay, he should do formal training. And then he started teaching me for one or two classes, and he found that I had no interest in music. Because then afterwards, he found out somebody told him that if you teach him, he will never learn because he will never take you seriously because your father. And then one fine day, my father was always talking to me about one of his friends, Mr. K.N. Krishnamurti, who is one of the greatest teachers of our country. Uh, he was talking to me about him all the time. And when I was 5 year old, my mom took me to a concert because I used to listen to concert right from when I was before 1 year old. So music was always ringing in my ears. So she took me to a concert where Mr. K. N. Krishnamurti was playing ghatam. Ghatam is this pot instrument. And then after the concert, my mom told me, "Look, you see, this is Mr. K. N. Krishnamurti who's playing the concert over there. It's about him that your father keeps speaking about." Then I don't know what came to my mind. After the concert, I was 5 year old. Huh? I went to him. He came down stage, and then I fell at his feet and I said, like, "Can you please teach me?" And then my master found that very, very cute. Then he said, "Oh, Chandramauli's son wants to." Chandramauli is my father's name. Ah, he wants to learn from me. This is really good. So from next day, he said, "Bring him to me." We didn't, because normally in India you always look at what time you have to start, which day you have to start. Everything is about the horoscope, all these things. But he said, "Don't look at anything. Just bring him to me." And then my mom, she took me next day, and then from the first day, uh, he started. He tried to teach me mridangam, but mridangam was bigger than me, so I could not reach the two sides of the instrument. So he said, "Oh, he's because those times there was only one-sized or two-sized instruments. Only now they have started making small mridangams and other things." So when he said play ta is the first. So I went on the other side and started playing ta. Then when he asked me to play di, I went to the other side and said, "You see, this is not how the mridangam is played." So I will teach him konakol for 1 year. So that was my first konakol experience as a formal training. So for 1 year, I practiced konakol for like with all the tala and everything, and then finally when I was of right height, he introduced me to mridangam. So by then I had already the knowledge of the rhythm. Then he started teaching me all these things, and ever since then it's history. And then I learned from him until he fell sick, which was around 2008. I'm talking about 1981. I started when I was five, which is in 1981, December 14th, if I remember correctly. And then he taught me till 2008, 2009. And then around 98, 99, there was this amazing konokol artist, amazing mridangam player. He's still alive. He's 97-year-old young man. His name is Dr. T.K. Murthy. In 98, when I always got influenced by his music, he was a very technical man. He knew everything so technically. And his konokol was something that I had never heard before, because my father is probably one of the greatest konokol vidwans of our country. And then Murthy sir, I call him Murthy sir. His name is Dr. T.K. Murthy. So I said I should go and just approach him to teach me konokol. Then one of my friends, he took me there, kind enough. He was quite kind enough, Mr. Purushottam. He took me to him. So my master looked at me like, "Who are you?" I said, "My Mr. Chandramauli's son." "Oh, you're Chandramauli's son. I know him. So my father was a famous man. And then I said, "I want to learn konokol." He said, "What? You want to learn konokol? Are you serious? Nobody learns konokol. Konokol is something that you just do it. You learn Mridangam, you do Konakol. You learn Ghatam, you do Konakol. You don't learn Konakol. Then I said, oh, really? I didn't know that, And then he said, okay, play Mridangam. I started playing Mridangam, and he really praised my master, my guru, K.N. Krishnamurti sir, saying, oh, he has taught you so beautifully. I don't think you need to change, because normally when you go from one teacher to another teacher, your fingering the technique is changed, like they try to change it, but he didn't change anything. He said, whatever you learn on Mridangam, while I'm drinking my coffee, is that okay?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, whatever you learn on Mridangam, you just translate that into Konakol. So he became my first guru was my father, Mr. B.K. Chandramouli. Second one was Sri K.N. Krishnamurti. And finally, I also started learning from Dr. T.K. Murthy, who is still alive, and I continue to learn from him. My father and my first master, they're not alive anymore. So that makes me sad, because I don't have somebody to consult all the time. Yeah. But this is a little elongated history about my learning process.
Yes. That's excellent. That's really fascinating. And what one of the things that struck me in your work is your ability to also go beyond the traditional talas, the traditional the traditional beat cycles and all that. And I know that a lot of people who are listening to this interview have seen your other videos probably of you playing in talas that I have never seen before in Konakol. So tell us a little bit about this. How you got to all these talas? And what motivates you to create all these really crazy beat cycles?
Well, first of all, it's the system, the Carnatic music system, which is probably one of the greatest rhythmical systems that that the humankind has, because that teaches you to really get into the microscopic level of rhythm. You can decipher almost anything that you hear. That's the greatness of this art form, and I mean this genre. And then second thing is, my father, he took me to concerts when I was young. So he made me sit in the front row. We were supposed to sit on the floor for 3 hours, 4 hours. And he made me put tala for every single concert. So maybe before I was even 10-year-old, I had already attended about 2,000-3,000 concerts.
Wow.
Yes, sometimes I was going like 3-4 concerts a day. So literally every day of the year, I used to go and listen to the concert. I would say at least 2,000 concerts before I reached 10 years. That means half of my life before I reached 10, I was in front of the concert platform listening to music.
That's a lot of sitting or cross-legged, by the way.
Yes, that's why I can sit cross-legged for more than. There was also an instance where I played for 24 hours, and then I was sitting cross-legged for 24 hours. So that's another story. So this was the second thing. I think the system and on doing all these things. And then there was a moment where I thought like I should be better than someone else, better than this person, better than that person. And then one of my good friends, Mr. Guru Prasanna, he's a Kanjira artist. He told me something that struck me forever. Like he said, like, don't try to be better than anyone else. Try to be better than yourself, Like, if you are in 0 level, try to be 0.1 tomorrow. It doesn't matter if somebody is already on 100. It's about you improving every day. So this kind of like intrigued me into like, okay, I should be challenging myself every day. Doesn't matter who is watching me, who is not watching me. I just challenge myself. I do things. And then I always was known to do a lot of brainy calculations when I was young. Very fascinated about the mathematics in music, in rhythms. Then that became a little bit too much for me, like, okay, I did too much of this. It's not music anymore. Mathematics is mathematics. How do you find mathematics in music? You should find music in mathematics. That's the thing, not finding the mathematics in music. So that was one aspect. And then finally, when I went to when I was like, I started doing all these kind of crazy talas only like 4 years ago. Before that, I was doing crazy stuff on already known talas. So that was like, okay, whatever. Then I started doing simple stuff on the crazy talas. That's totally different. So I went to this concert, which was again by one of my friends whose name is Purushottam, who took me to my second master. So he was doing a very strange tala in 75/16 notes. I have already done that. That was the first video of mine which became viral. The one with the wolf t-shirt. That was the one. So I tried that, and then when people started liking that, I said, okay, I should keep on trying more and more of such things. So then I started doing complex stuff on the complex talas, which I thought like was not so interesting. So I started doing simple stuff on complex talas. Meaning like, you have the tala is already there, but when you're simple, you have this much room to go. When everything is on the top, when or close to the rooftop, you have no breathing space. So then I started making the phrases as talas. Like for example, if I did tatittom, takita dittom, takita tom, takita. Uh, 1 minute. Then I would do tatittom, takita dittom, takita tom, takita tatittom. Then it's like, drummers when they keep the hi-hat as tala, and then they start playing crazy stuff. Drummers are really biggest influence in my complex tala life, I would say, because of their multi polyrhythmic capabilities. Like basically they have five, I would say, yeah, no, yeah, five. If they use their voice, they have five different talas in their hand. So they were also biggest influence, and one of the biggest influence in my life was uh, uh, Stefan Galland. I don't know if you have heard that name.
I have, yes, yeah.
Yes, he was the first time I saw like, oh my God, this guy is something. Then I started a little bit like deciphering what he was doing, and then Akka Moon was a big influence in my complex rhythmic story. And then recently it has been Tigran Hamasyan. Yeah, all these people have been one of the biggest influences in my complex Tala life.
Fascinating. Yeah, yeah. I was going to ask you earlier about how do you see the art form of Konakol, where it is nowadays? And of course, you are one of the people who are taking this art form forward. But where do you see this art form progressing to, and in comparison to say 20 or 30 years ago, but also in comparison to where it started from ancient times?
Uh, for me, I'm not a great historian to know what happened in ancient times. Only things I can speak in my life is about what I have seen. That's all. So what I have seen about Konokol is it was really fascinating in the early 80s. At that moment, my father was a big sensation, and there were this there Mr. T.A.S. Mani is one of a biggest inspiration in Carnatic music world, where he took Konokol along with his wife uh, R.A. Ramamani to Germany in the late 80s, mid 80s, late 80s. And then when people heard that, you know, when they heard it, okay, oh my God, this is really one of the most fascinating things that they have never seen before. Then it became like they got a status of historical status. Like when people saw them, it's like when people saw Michael Jackson, they used to cry. When people saw Pandit Ravi Shankar, they would go hysterical, like, oh my God, this kind of like they come to they would act crazily. The same thing happened to Mr. Mani and Ramamani and the school. So then that was, and also we have to for sure certainly not forget about Sri Vikku Vinayakaram, who was one of the greatest influencers of Konokol system outside India, where him and Ustad Zakir Hussain, they brought this Konokol to the Western world. You know,
That was like mid 70s, around the mid 70s, I think,
I
wasn't
would
it?
say early 80s
Early
mostly.
80s, yeah.
So then that was like that time. Then in 90s, what happened was really something that was not of one of my favorites, because everyone was doing Konokol, but they were doing more for mostly for cheesy purposes. You know, between I would say mid 90s till late 2008 2009. You know, everyone was just doing it for like tak pitak tak. You know, this kind of like cheesy rhythms. You know, where it had no. It was just like I would say kind of like a weapon when uh, or something that a trick that when the concert was not going well, they would use it to make it successful. You know, so that was the, I would say, one of the dark ages of Konokol, that 10-15 years. And then suddenly there was this movement that happened, that the social media came into existence. Social media is the main reason for what Konokol, uh, for the reason Konokol being in that status now. Coming to what is the use of Konokol, what is happening, what is the main purpose? I would say Konokol is more of a musician's language, where you don't have to rehearse rhythmical phrases. You know, you don't have to really look into the score anymore. You can understand the most complex systems of music just by reciting Konokol and keeping it to the constant pulse. You know,
Yeah, and I
you
have
have
to I have to confess, from the other side, now I'm now trying to put some of these conical compositions on paper in Western notation, and it's a nightmare. I tell you, it is a real
yeah, I
nightmare. It's just that the Western system of writing rhythm is somehow is not equipped for such a complexity of rhythm.
well, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, like I'm only talking from the perspective of the classical music in the West, uh, and you know, when they have the phrasing system, which is so beautiful, but when this comes, you know, now everything is related to this. They forget the story of the whole thing. They start relating to every quarter note or whatever they listen to. But Konokol is a system where it makes you look the whole arch. You know, if there is a composition of tadi ginato, tadi ginato, tadi ginato, taka taki tata, okay? You never do tadi ginato, tadi ginato, tadi ginato, taka taki tata. Still sounds like takati, katakati, katakati, kata. Maybe you're saying the in Konogol, you are supposed to say it like tatikinato, 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 takita, dim, ta, dim, ta. So this phrasing system is not what do you say compromised in Konokol. So that is the nightmare, I think, when it comes to transcribing to the Western notation, where you just see it according to the quarter note or the eighth note or the 16th note. But in our system, we write the phrase, we don't write the tala. So we learn the phrase and we write the phrase as rhythm. So that is the main strength of Konokol art form, I would say.
Yes. The other thing that, one of the things that struck me from the beginning with Konakol is its geometric nature. So it's not just rhythm, or it's not just only a story in rhythm, but it's also a geometric shape. There's something, in my opinion, it's like beyond mathematics. It's geometry, which is something a little bit different than mathematics, And
It's the artistic maths.
Exactly. And I think you've showed that in a few of your videos with the Fibonacci code and so on. It's really a lot about the geometry of rhythm, and it's
Yeah,
really it makes an illusion of you seeing a three-dimensional shape.
that's right. Yes, yes, yes.
Like,
And also it's something, sorry to cut you. Please tell me.
like when you paint a cube on a two-dimensional paper, it is still two-dimensional, but when you see the cube, it looks like a cube, like a three-dimensional shape. but you
That's
know that
right.
it's not. But your mind is tricking you, and it's the same with Konakol. I find in many instances.
Sure, sure, sure. I 100% agree with you on that. Yeah, and also when you look at the whole picture, it's like looking at the mountain from a far off place. But when you start Konokol, you start looking into the details of it. So the only disadvantage of learning Konokol is you stop enjoying the whole picture. So only listeners enjoy the whole picture. But I have not enjoyed music the way it has to be since since 34 years. I have
Really?
not enjoyed the music on the whole. Never. My ear always goes to first towards the percussion, and then it goes into the detail, which is unnecessary. It's like having pizza and then talking about the thin crust and then talking about what kind of cheese it is. The combination of the thin crust, the cheese, and then the olives, and then all these things, the whole combination makes it so tasty, but somehow we kind of like split everything and try to explain about it, then it loses its magic. So that's the status of every musician, I would say. We cannot enjoy music on the whole. Do you
Yeah.
agree with?
Well, yeah, it's a tough one as a musician, of course. As a drummer, for instance, when I listen to music, I immediately the drums. What is the drummer is doing? If I'm going to a concert, the drummer, where is he? What is he doing now? And what is he doing now? Ah, okay, and I recognize it. So
You see?
you stop listening to the music, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's not for me personally, it's not like that all the time, because I'm not all the time just thinking about drums and music and harmonies and rhythm. Sometimes I just like to enjoy the vibe.
And maybe those are the days when you're really tired of doing all these things.
Probably, yeah, probably. Well, it's
Yeah,
it's
same
it's
thing
a big
happens to me when
balance.
I overdid a lot. Overdid a lot. I just like
Yeah,
kind of unwind myself and then just go to a concert. Not think about anything. Just
yeah,
let it sink inside me.
yeah.
Like
Well,
that.
it's the same. I think it's the modes that we get into as musicians. If you're someone that spends a lot of time practicing at home, then when you play, when you do that for a while, then you go and play with your mates, with your friends. Then that's what you're gonna do when you play with your friends. When you
That's right.
play a lot with your friends or play a lot of concerts and a lot of tours, and then you come back to practicing, you're still in that mindset. You're
Yeah.
practicing playing music,
Yeah.
so
That's,
it's a matter of where you are conditioning, how you are conditioning yourself, and the
that's
balance between those. It's a
sure.
tough one. It's not easy as a musician. I totally agree with that. But
Yeah.
Manju, I just want to take us a little bit more. You've spoken about the details, and I want to look a little bit into the details. And one of the things that I like, and not only me, I'm sure many people share this same thing. I like about your recitation of the conical syllables is the accuracy and the detailed fashion that you are reciting those conical. Could you share with the audience how you got to be so accurate and so fast, and how do you do that?
You mean like that?
That's exactly what I mean. That's
Okay.
I'm sure it's a question you are asked quite a lot, but I'll ask it anyway.
Uh, to be honest with you, I have never. This is. I'm going to reveal. I have never ever practiced konokol in my life. I have only practiced mridangam in my life. I think it's a talent that I possess because my father, again, sorry to bring his name every now and then, he was probably one of the most crystal clear konokol artists that I have heard. But he always said that his master, Sri K.S. Gopal Rao, was probably the best ever konokol artist. But there is also Trichi Tayumanavan, who is also one of the greatest konokol exponents. And then Subhash Chandran sir is there. And one of my students, Konokol Somashekar Joyce, he is also, he has a good clarity. I don't know what are their explanations about it. But for me, I have never ever practiced, but I think I have always got this as a talent from my father, and then listening to a lot of it in the simplest way. First of all, the things that you have to learn is should be in the simplest form. The more simpler it is, the and the and and the slower you practice, the slower you practice, the faster you can recite. And then I have a system of speeding up naturally when practicing, because in Carnatic system they ask you to practice first speed, second speed, third speed, fourth speed. But I keep doing, like, for example, takata timita timbi takata tim. I do it for half an hour, and this human has the natural instinct of speeding up. At the end of 30 minutes, you might have reached to takata timbi timbi takata timbi timbi takata timbi timbi. You just allow yourself for long sessions of practicing. Allow yourself to speed up naturally, and allow yourself to enjoy that every moment. Don't get bored about it. That's one thing. And then one another thing that everyone asks me about, like, how can I get so fast with my tongue? Everyone thinks the speed is in the tip of the tongue, but no, that's not right. All the letters that starts with K and G, which starts from here, kaga, this is where the hindrance for the speed is. The more you concentrate on this part of your mouth or the tongue, the back of your tongue, the clearer konokol gets. Because if you are getting stuck with some kind of speed, it's not because of the ta or ri or di or mi, it's because of the ka and ga. Kitatakatari kitatom. Kitatakatari kitatom. The more you say it, for example, do you have a fast, let's try with you and me, do you have a phrase that you're stuck with?
Kitatakatari kitadom, that's one
Okay.
of them, yeah.
Okay. You should be, I think you're concentrating on the tip of your tongue on this side. Try concentrating on this part. Kitatakatari kitatom.
Kitatakatari kitadom, yes. Kitatakatari kitadom.
Kitatakatari kitatom. And then there is a small cheat when you go upper speed, where the K and T, K as in kappa, T as in tree, these letters will become slightly G, and then T becomes slightly D. You are not kitatakatari kitatom. You don't do that. Kitatakatari kitatom. When you recite it faster, it's very hard for the ears to recognize if you're doing K or G.
It's like you're changing gear, basically. You're changing gear a little bit.
Yeah. Concentrate here, gets faster. These are the two things I think I would like to give as a tip.
Yeah, that's good for me, actually, because I'm actually struggling with a composition I've written lately with that has a lot. I actually written a lot of Kitatakatari Kitadom for myself just to be able to practice this more and more. So thanks for the tip. Actually, thinking about tips and moving on, could you show our listeners some easy composition that anyone can do? Just maybe anyone that knows a little bit about the tala, aditala, and a little bit about the syllables. Something simple that they can do and take away from this interview, except the stuff you said.
Okay, let's try 2 quarter notes. That's our, okay? 1, 2. 2 quarter notes means 8 16th notes, right? So that means you have tat, 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 tat. So try to split it up in such a way that it is kind of like diminishing with the value, like 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, okay? That means 3 plus 2 plus 1, 1, 1 is 8, okay? So for 3, you can say takita. For 2, you can say taka. For 1, you can say tata, ta, yeah? So if it is 3 times, 3, 1 is ta, okay? So if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, takita, taka, ta, 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 takita, ki, ta, ta. Okay, this is our basic composition. Now we will only accent the 3, 2, and 1, where you are just saying the first letter of the groupings. For the 3, you just say the first letter, which is ta. And for the taka, you say just the first letter, which is ta. And the rest of the things you mute. So, takita, takka, ta, 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 takita, takka, ta, 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 ta. Okay, this is the concept. Now this is single syllable, ta and then ta and ta ta ta. It's all single syllables. Let us multiply this into double syllables. So instead of having 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, we'll have 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so 3, 3 can be as taka. So 2 syllables can be taka. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So ta, ka, ta, ka, taka, 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 ta. Yeah, if you multiply by 3, then it becomes takita. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, takita, 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 ta. We take this as a concept and let's try, because you were talking about complex rhythms, complex talas. Let's try this tala called Mishra Chapu. Mishra Chapu is 7, 8 notes or 14, 16 notes, right? So what we can do is like 14, 16 notes means again we will make a combination of this diminishing pattern. So you can take 4, 3, 2, okay, which is 9. 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. We're still left with 5 16th notes. So we can have the same gap. So 1, 1, 1. So 1 gap, 1 gap, 1. If it is 2, 1, 2 gap, 1, 2 gap, 1, 2. If it is 3, 1, 2, 3 gap, 1, 2, 3 gap, 1, 2, 3. So this is our formula, okay? 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, okay? Let's apply that to single syllable now. So the tala goes like this. It is 1 8 note, 3 quarter notes. 8 quarter, 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 8 quarter, 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 8 quarter, quarter, quarter. Okay, now we recite all the syllables. 2, 3, 4. Takka, dhimmi, takkita, takka, ta, 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 takka, dhimmi, takkita, takka, ta, ta, ta. Yeah, we will now just do the single, the accents of the every grouping. So for takadimi, we just do the ta, we will mute the kadimi. For takita, we do the ta, we mute the kita. For taka, we put
isolation. You are isolating the ta.
Isolating the ta, yeah. So takadimi, takita, taka, ta, 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 ta. It is better to experiment that in 2 syllables, but anyway, I will do it in 1 syllable first. Ta, 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 ta. If you multiply that by 2 syllables, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? So then it will be ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, ka, taka, 1, 2, taka, 1, 2, taka, Let's try this with the 5 syllables, which is called as tadiginatom. In our language, it is tadiginatom. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ti, gi, na, to, ta, ti, gi, na, to, ta, ti, gi, na, tom. Tati ginatom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tadi ginatom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tadi ginatom. You can do for anything. Let us say, let's do it for Asaf Sikris. A, Saf, Si, Kris. A, Saf, Si, Kris. A, Saf, Si, Kris. Asaf Sikris. Asaf Sikris. Asaf, say Chris. Ah.
So I'm known as the Takadimi for the subdivision, yeah?
So you are the heart of Konoko.
Excellent.
So I think this is something that is quite helpful for rhythm learners. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
No problem.
So, Manjunath, that was very, very informative, and thank you so much for again for taking the time to talk with us. I really appreciate you doing this. I know how busy you are. So thank you, and I hope to see you sometime in Bangalore or maybe here in London.
Before leaving, I would like to just say one thing.
Please.
Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. The bottom line of me doing all these social media things is because I have had fantastic father and gurus in my life. And then they taught me for free. Okay. And then they never questioned. If I asked them one question, they always gave me 100 answers. So when they gave me so much knowledge without charging me or asking anything in return, I have no rights to keep whatever I have inside me just for myself. This is meant to be propagated. This is meant to be spread, right? So that is the only reason that I am doing these things. And this is also my sincere request to every possible knowledgeable musician that they should just enjoy spreading what they know, not just keep it to themselves, Then the more you keep things to yourself, it's just like materialistic properties, then the more outbreak of war is there. If you start sharing everything that you have from between one another, there is no war. There is always peace. So that is the reason I'm doing this. I also expect all the talented people out there to share what they have freely. That's the only request I have.
Yeah, thank you for that, Manju. That's very wise advice for everyone, and I completely share your view with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nagadirtakatam, kitakitakatakaditam, kitatikutatikatakatakadirtakatam, kitakitakatakadiratakadirtakadirtakadirtakadirtakatam, kitakitakatakaditam, kitatikutatikatakatakadirtakatam, kitakitakatakadiratakadirtakadirtakadirtakadirtakatam, kitakitakatakaditam, kitatikutatikatakatakadirtakatam, kitakitakatakadiratakadirtakadirtakatam, kitakitakatakadiratakadirtakadirtakadirtakatam, kitakitakatakadiratakadirtakadirtakadirtakadirtakatam,